Can everyone see me, hear me? Yes. If you can, happy Friday, fam. This has been an awesome week, and we're going to go through it today. Oh, boom. Got it. All right. So you guys can see me, can hear me. Let's go into it. Happy Friday, everyone. I am excited to get into some of the price action today, what's been happening, looking at some of the drops, and going into what we haven't seen yet. Like, shout out to Mike. I think Mike is in here as well. I'm going to show who Mike is. You guys probably already know who Mike is, but he went through like through our Telegram group kind of what we haven't seen yet, and I was like, we got to go over this because there's a lot we haven't seen and a lot that we already kind of know about, but we're just keep getting closer and closer. So I hope everyone had a great week. Happy Friday again, and like I said on Twitter, it's a happy hour. So cheers. If you're not a drinker, then grab a soda or water or whatever you'd like. Let's just enjoy the fact that it's Friday. The week's almost over. Weekend's coming up. Wherever you are, cheers. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll go ahead and get right into it. Let's see. Boom. Boom. All right. You should be able to see my screen now. So let's go ahead and talk about OMI Price. Like, this is actually a tweet from straight from Reese on Twitter saying it's been a 007 kind of week. You gotta love the wit and the little pun nature from good old Reese. So as you can see, like, we just shot past what we had was resistance around 0.006 to 0.0068 for quite some time, moved up, moved down, but now we can see that we actually just shot past to 0.007 and went all the way actually up to 0.0074 today, which, man, what a great way to just like keep adding to the weeks, right? Like, we keep seeing more and more movement. Like, just even over the past week, you can see like we shot up, and last, or I guess earlier this week, we were right around 0.0068, and then we can see it kind of transition down because the price of Bitcoin and altcoins were actually moving down. But crypto as a whole has been doing well again. Like, Bitcoin is starting to try and make that climb again to try and claim, not points, 62,000 up into the 60,000s again. A lot of people are saying that it's going to be a very, very bullish month to an entire bullish Q4 because that's what we're waiting for is, like Bitcoin ETFs and a lot more other things. I'm still a little bit worried with something that's happening with like Evergrande and some other things, but there's a lot of bullish mentality out there. And as you know, bullish mentality kind of keeps the market going that way. So I'm cool with staying bullish because as Bitcoin continues to go up, altcoins eventually follow, especially as it trades sideways. And as you can see, OMI is on the warpath to reclaim its all-time high. And then once we reclaim that all-time high, it's all gravy from there. So just looking again, we are at 0.00716 right now. Oh, you like my shirt? Thank you. Tito's. I'm not drinking Tito's. I'm drinking a beer, but just look. So like, I always say this, but like, zoom out, right? Like, look at where we are in this month. Just on a steady climb. And obviously, like, we're not back to where we are from the all-time highs yet, but I am really happy to see this pattern versus this pattern. Like, this was when everyone was like, what's happening? Like, what's going on with NFTs? What is OMI? What is Veve? And that was back when the app was in beta. I mean, getting drops was an absolute nightmare compared to now. And people didn't really understand what was happening with OMI. Like, a lot of people didn't even know what the utility was or what like people were building towards it. So they just kind of aped in. So you can see shot up, flat, really shot up, flat, really shot up. And then of course we fell into our bearish run during this bull cycle, which all alts, all NFTs got absolutely destroyed. And now it's making what looks like the biggest cup and handle pattern in the history of any crypto altcoin I've ever seen. But it's just been steadily gaining for now well, I wouldn't say since then. Well, I guess it kind of does look since then, but it's been just steadily gaining for now about 2 months. And this is stability. Like this is what we want to see with our investment. So love to see this. Again, OMI is going to keep climbing, especially as we have more and more things coming out. And I wanted to say, again, quick shout out to Mike for, he posted this in our Telegram group, and I thought it was absolutely clutch. So I wanted to kind of go through it with you guys. And then I'm going to go ahead and get into the drops, Dragon Girl, and a couple other things. But before I get into that, I did want to show this. So I took Mike's list and I wanted to kind of go through it with you guys today because I think this is absolutely awesome. So again, like zoom out, think about what's still to come. And like some of these things are, you know, a month away, a couple months away, a week away. So again, this is just kind of crazy to lay out and see just how much is still on the horizon. So as you can see, let me see if I can I blow this up a little bit? I think you guys can see it okay. Mike is good at lists. Agreed, Lori. And shout out to everyone in the chat. I appreciate you guys hopping in. Mike, Lori, Dan the Kid, Slunk, Squid Cat. That's a great name. TKO Barber, Brendan Z, Homie, Resloons, Homie, all the homies in here. I saw Veve Vault in here, True Tech Junkie, Dan Schauble, welcome to the chat, man. OVR Landlord, all the homies. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button so that way more of the fam can know that we're doing this. They can join us on this happy hour through this discussion. And if you haven't yet, you might know my channel or follow it. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel too, just because I'm going to be putting out more content. Things are getting exciting again, so you want to make sure that you stay in the know. So with that said, we're going to go through this list. Cheers. So still to come that we know about. That's the thing that you always want to remember, right? Is we only probably know about 10 to 20% of what's on the surface of what's happening with Ecomi and Veve that they let us know. And then they eventually let us see things that are under the surface eventually, right? Like they sat on our Marvel partnership that they were working out for 18 months before we actually found out about it. So, and that was back when, like, you know, it wasn't as big as it was. The community wasn't as big as it was. And we're still learning more and more. So to just be a fly on the wall of those meetings that they have would be absolutely incredible. But let's go ahead and get through this list. Reslone says, caw, homies. Yeah, for anyone who got into the Moody Crows, which is the first generative NFT project on Immutable X, congrats to you. Kyle Wilson put me into like letting me know about the Moody Crows. I actually got into conversation with the creator and artist of the Moody Crows via Discord, and I badgered them. I was like, hey, I really need to know if this is the first PFP generative project on Immutable X. He went through a bunch of processes with me and like sent me snapshots, and I had a conversation with a person from Immutable X to confirm that. And then once I confirmed it, I let the fam know on Twitter, said, hey, like this is the first project. I think it'll be legit. And then Alex Becker got a hold of it, and it shot up from a 0.035 mint all the way up to is like almost an ETH. Actually, it might have hit 1 ETH. So it absolutely shot up in terms of price, well over a 10x, probably about a 20x. All right, so let's go ahead and get through this list. So still to come that we know about. We know that the mutable migration, it's right here. We've been in the migration. It just hasn't happened yet, right? Like we haven't seen that article come out. And of course, they're not going to add that as an extra layer to deal with during all these drops from the New York Comic Con. So I'm actually cool with that not happening just because it's too much to balance. And so this is still coming. Like it's happening, but I imagine what's going to happen is we're going to get through New York Comic Con, all these drops, all these events, and then they'll probably go ahead and release the Master Collector Program article, hopefully Sunday or Monday or soon. And then what I'm kind of counting on is there's first anniversary, so I'm kind of expecting a drop, but I'm wondering if that's when they also release the immutable migration kind of article and some more going on, because there's going to be a lot that's happening once we're actually like live. Like we're no longer GoChain, we're now Immutable X Ethereum layer 2 solution. So here's how you migrate, here's what's coming, and I think that'll be pretty big. And I just saw a question from Fawn. Did you get any luck with the Mechaverse drop yesterday? I did not. I did not make the raffle. which was unfortunate because they're selling for 5 ETH each. And I went to the raffle with trying to get 2 mechas. So if I got 2 mechas, I'd be able to sell for 10 ETH, but I did not get into it. What's cool is though, I did a video around it, and one of my subscribers actually saw it, wasn't familiar with it, got into the raffle, got a mecha. And so, I mean, to be able to sell it now for 5 ETH, which is what, almost $20,000, that's absolutely awesome. And like, that made me really happy. Like the fact that someone got in the know, they saw the content, like that's why I got into this, right? Is like as an outlet and to help people like educate what's happening in crypto and now NFTs. And that really made my day. Like that definitely put a stamp on this is a good day. So let's get back to the list. So MTL, so money transfer license, we've heard about it forever. It's definitely been dragged out, but again, I think we're just waiting on that final. Again, we're done through New York Comic Con. Here's MTL. Everything's coming. Everything's happening. It's definitely been dragged out a little bit longer than I think most of us expected, but a lot of things happening. I mean, I can't think of another crypto project that has this many plates that they're spinning in the air all at once. It's absolutely crazy that they're able to handle this and be such a lean team. New exchanges. So this is the piece that I'm convinced, again, that we're going to just be absolutely rocketing up in price, because when you look at what caused the initial price action, for those of you who were not around since March and April and May, there was that big climb, and then when Uniswap was announced, it just absolutely shot up. And there was a bunch of things that happened with like OMI, and then the entire market kind of just went down. But that shot the price up. And we know that there's roughly 2 or 3 exchanges that have been in the queue since what, July or maybe June. So, and they decided like, we're not going to announce these because we're just going to make the go ahead and do it once we're actually over on the on Immutable X. So that was then. Who knows what they've built out since then, and they'll probably do little things here. And it kind of reminds me, like I see Lori's in the chat. Thanks for being on, Lori. And she's a very big Illuvium fan, and I am too. And there's some other homies who are, which Illuvium's absolutely going to crush in the play to earn gaming and NFT space. But if you look at their price action over the past like 2 weeks, it's been announced exchange on Binance, announced exchange on crypto.com, and it just goes wick, and then it goes wick, and it just keeps climbing. And that's what's going to happen with OMI, because again, that's going to be more buy-in that a lot of these whales, not even just whales, just newer investors need to see, like, oh, okay, it's easy to access now. I don't have to go to gate.io. I don't have to go to Bitforex. I can go get it on a KuCoin or a Binance or even like a Hotbit. Like little things are all that's added. It's just more accessibility. So that'll be really exciting. We have, again, that Master Collector Program Medium coming. We have Showroom version 2, which if you haven't seen what it looks like, I think most of us have. It night and day difference. I can't wait to see it. Shout out to Croup. Keep up the good work, brother. I appreciate you for the super chat. I think I saw another one earlier. I think it was from Lori. Thanks so much, both of you, for the super chats. I really appreciate it. Y'all are the true homies. And so again, Showroom V2 is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be that added layer that, you know, a lot of people like the collectibles, but when you look at the vaults, I think the vaults are incredible just to me personally, but there's definitely coming new competition, and there's going to be more vaults, right? Like we see things coming from Terra Virtual Collect. We see things coming from Red Fox Labs, and that vault presence is going to be in Caloscope, which awesome project, did a video on it. That's coming soon, but that vault presence is definitely going to be a big thing. So having the ability to up that showroom now, again, they're thinking way ahead. Like, okay, people are entering digital collectibles now, but they've been doing it started 3 years ago. Okay, now people are entering in the vaults. Okay, well, now their vault is top tier with the version 2. So they're always staying ahead of what they need to do. That's how they maintain that that foothold in that corner in that market that they've done. So Edo, oh man, we all can't wait for Edo. So Edo is I think the last chance at a season 1 secret rare. I mean, in theory, right? Because we've been waiting for it since season 1, and it completes a set for Ultraman. So can't wait to see Edo come. Edo's also the coolest character, in my opinion, from the Ultraman series. And then OMI to NFT, we have no idea when this is coming, just to be completely honest with you guys, I imagine hopefully end of year. But again, we'll see a lot more utility coming to the OMI token with staking, which they did say in the past will come with Master Collector Program eventually. Then we'll see, again, more burn mechanisms. OMI to NFT is more utility. Anand with the super chat says, any prediction on how long this Veve dip will last? I actually do have a prediction, and I'm going to get directly into that because I don't think it's going to be as long as the last one. So thanks for the super chat, Anand. I will get to that question. I'm going to leave it up just to get to it. And let's see, total supply of collectibles decreased. This was pretty cool. I was wondering if they were going to ever do anything like this. And it gets your mind kind of going, right? Like how many times could they do this? This is one of like the benefits kind of like a centralized exchange in a way, or a centralized NFT exchange, because they have the ability to just buy the floor of a bunch of them and then remove them from the actual total supply, right? So we saw that with the Captain America, where the commons, they just got rid of, I can't remember how many it was. I think it was like 5,000 or 2,500. It wasn't a ton considering how many there were, but they said there's gonna be more to come. So this is just something that they can do, right? Like they can just choose to buy like the floor on however many they want and then get rid of them. Like it's little things like that that I think are really cool, and why they think that, you know, us as investors, and not just Veve, but OMI, they're actually taking that into account and looking at, all right, like let's just go ahead and make this a little bit more, a little more valuable. Like and I don't think they ever do this with anything like a secret rare or an ultra rare, because that would be kind of playing the system a little bit. But doing it with commons, totally cool. And then first drop anniversary. So again, I just touched on it, but I think this is going to be there has to be something cool like this, right? And I mentioned Illuvium a minute ago, and not to plug Illuvium too much, but they did that first Binance announcement on their anniversary, and so I think that's going to be kind of a trend with the crypto space. Is, it's been 1 year since their drop, and think about how much they care about the community, how much they've taken care of us when they do announcements. I think something happening. I think it's October 14th. I heard from someone, which makes sense because they always did Thursday drops originally when there was only one drop every week or 2 or 3, which, man, that was kind of the good old days at this point, because I'm just throwing money now every single week into Veve. Like Veve is now a part of my budget. And so, yeah, I think something's going to happen on the 14th or 15th. It could be an exchange. It could be a really cool drop. We can sit here and speculate all day. Shout out to Zach for the super chat. Thanks, Taps. Been recommending the show to everyone. I appreciate you, Zach. That's really awesome of you. Season 3 begins. So, what's cool about this is as more seasons come, again, season 1 will eventually be kind of like that OG seasons, even season 2, where we get to season 5, season 8, season 10. Like season 1, season 2, like those early seasons are not going to be able to get for very expensive, like, because at that point the mints will keep climbing as our user base keeps climbing. So you have to think about, when does it make sense for you to accumulate these, or like when should you actually get these? And in my opinion, you should really make sure that you get as much of the Marvel drops from season 2 right now, right? Like these are the ones you should be securing while you can, because we're just going to see more and more from Marvel. We're going to see more and more from these larger brands, and it's only going to get harder. And people know that. Oh man, shout out to Adam Awesome Face for the $50 super chat. Wow, for butt stuff. Oh man, Adam, does that mean like I have to do butt stuff? I think I just like give myself a little slap. Does that work? $50. I earned it. All right, thanks, Adam. You're the man. Let me go back. Boom, so I don't forget that. I don't want to forget Anand's question about the dip. So again, season 3 is going to begin. I think season 2 Marvel first drops are going to just go up in value, especially as we go into the Veveverse, which will come, of course, in 2022. With spooky drops, they mentioned something around this. I hope it's something like Freddy or Jason or Michael Myers, or even like the OG, like horror films, like the Bride of Frankenstein, or Frankenstein the monster himself, Nosferatu, like old school, like Dracula. And we know that some of those are available through the CLC license, which was actually dropped with I think that was the Bill and Ted drop, where we saw that we have the CLC license, which is a very big licensor that I've done a video on it. A lot of people don't really understand just how big that license is, and there are some spooky licenses that are tied to it. So that is a possibility. DesignerCon, we're all excited about New York Comic Con, but again, look out, like what's happening. And DesignerCon, DCon, is coming in November. Now, this is definitely like tiered towards artists and designers and brands. This is kind of a newer convention for me, which is really cool. Like, that's what I love about Ecomi and Veve and the fam, is that it helps you kind of stretch what you're into new things, right? Like, I didn't know who Frank Kozik was before this, but I love Kozik's work now, and like Mondo and Jermaine Rogers and all these artists like that I would not know of if it wasn't for Veve. And some of the brands I'm getting more into are also because of that. I think going to this new kind of convention, I think will be really cool for me as a collector, because I've gone to anime conventions for over a decade. I cosplay, as many people have commented on my sword back there. That is a wrapped Buster sword from Cloud from the Kingdom Hearts version, where I did cosplay as him for an event. It was originally non-wrapped, and then I wrapped it so that way I could actually wear the scarf, because I hate shaving. I look like a child when I shave. So I wanted to do that with my cosplay. But DCon, I think, will be really awesome. I bet we see a bunch of new artists around that. Again, speculation, but I think DCon will be great. I will be there in person. I know some of the other fam will be there in person, because it is in Anaheim, California, in, I think, mid-November. And so it's going to be great to actually go to a live event. I know some of the Ecomi team, I think Alex said he's going to be there, some of the people who are on the West Coast or can make it. So this is going to be the first live event where us as, the fam are going to be there, and actually team members are going to be there as well. And shout out to the guy from WI Wisconsin. Thoughts on blind box reveal upgrades, like animation or something to make it feel more special? Love to see that get some traction in the community. I know they said something around this when they first did the blind box, which I think the first blind box was the Marvel Mighties, if I'm correct. And was it the first? I think it was Marvel Mighty was the first blind box, and they said that they do want to get something around that. The only thing I kind of wonder about that is, what if that slows down the process, right? Like, I get what you're saying, like kind of like a NBA Top Shot, or like when you get cogs, like you click on it, it opens the pack and like it goes through an animation. Like, that would be cool, but I think we need a little bit more. There's more things that are priority in my mind, like the app in general, like the usability side, like the feed and all that. I think that needs to be cleaner. I think having animations to it would look good, but again, it would make sense to have that once maybe it's delivered, not when you click, because it's all about speed, right, to get it. So I think there's some other things that are higher on the totem pole of priority before we get there. But they did say that they are looking into that back when we were first discussing it in an AMA. All right, localization. This is the thing that, like, that's how the Veve user base blows up, right? Because we know that we're one of the top 10 entertainment apps grossing in US and UK, in Australia, and some other areas. But when I did a video, I showed like we didn't even pop up in several countries in APAC and in Brazil and other countries. Like, that's where this really comes to play. And those who don't know, localization is how you can see the app in multiple languages. And I did see that we actually are starting to pop up in, I don't know if it was China. I can't remember who posted it on Twitter, but it looks like we're starting to pop up. But again, that's going to be really something that shoots the app up on user bases for sure. We have other verticals coming, anime and sports, and many others. Anime, of course, I think would make sense once localization is out. There's no timeline on this yet, but hopeful for the end of this year. Brands. We have so many brands that we know about who have not come out yet. LOL Surprise Dolls, Little Prince, NFLPA, Jurassic Park, Capcom, Monster Hunter, and many, many more. More to come. We know that digital signatures and event drops will eventually come. And this is speculation. I'm wondering if we'll see this in 2022. But that was actually one of the reasons why I grabbed my DesignerCon ticket, was what if this is the first one, right? Because Alex said that they're going to be there, and like I don't know if they're going to have a booth or what kind of thing they'll have going with the event itself, but I just have my hopes up maybe that this is something where we could have a drop, and then if you get in line, you could go get it signed or digitally signed on the app by being there, and of course they'll geofence that or geolocate you into that event. So I'm sure if this was to happen, they would give a little bit of heads up, but really cool to see where this goes in the future. And then, of course, the VeVeverse. Like, this is why we're collecting sets. This is why we're so gung-ho and so pushing, right? Because we want that land grab, and we know it's going to be absolutely amazing. So that is still to come of what we know about, right? So I can't wait for so many of these things to come. Again, shout out to Mike for putting together that list, but let's go ahead and see what's coming so that we know of, right? So Marvel Mighty Series 3, Captain Carter. I think this is a really cool one. We don't really know. I guess the article just came out, right? So Captain Carter, there's going to be $25. Only 6,000 editions? What? And it's just Captain Carter? I didn't even look at this yet, guys. I pulled it up because I saw it and throw it in here. Wow. It's not a lot for a blind boxer for Marvel Mighties. Well, so oh man, I don't want to pump this up too much because people are going to make it impossible for me to get one, but this is one to get. I might cover why in another video because again, I did cover it, so let's just talk about it. So this is again an episode, I think it was the first episode of What If. So if you haven't seen What If, it is on Disney Plus. It is a really cool cartoony basically show of what if scenarios that happen in the the Marvelverse or the multiverse, what you want to call it. But this version is what if the gamma radiation happened to Captain Carter and she became Captain America. And really cool because that's a direct link to the show, which again is a Marvel Disney show. And there's only 6,000. I mean, there was so many of these dropped in the past Marvel Mighties that this is going to be one to really hold on to. And yeah, it's a rare. I mean, this is going to be a good drop. But the one that we're most excited for is, of course, Dragon Girl, right? Oh man. So and make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Let's get the whole fam in here. Hopefully people are getting off work and they can join us. Again, cheers everyone for Happy Hour Friday. And then I will get into a little bit on the actual price action of the Veve collectibles, and I'll answer Anand's question finally on how many or any prediction on how long the Veve dip will last. But this is exciting. She's back in honor of New York Comic Con and 20 years of Toy Tokyo. You notice that they keep doing more and more things around anniversaries. Like I really need to dig into some research and almost lay out like a complete timeline of anniversaries that they could potentially do drops on, because I think we're seeing a trend here on a number of ways that ties to this drop. But we're pleased to announce that Simone, I don't know how to say his name, Simone Legno, and Tokidoki's Mysterious Dragon Girl will drop as an all gold TT exclusive on Toy Tokyo on Saturday 9th, October 12th at 12 p.m. I didn't see any article yet on it unless they updated it, which I don't think they did. Let's real quick check, just in case, because we can go through it. Nope, no article yet. So where was it? Boom. So we're seeing a trend here, right? Dragon Girls go for solid amount, right? Like I think their current, like the ultra rare, which is the silver and gold right now, is $3,770 floor. And there is a delay in the API on this site, but again, pretty close. So that was one that was obviously one to get. I don't have a ultra rare Dragon Girl silver and gold, but there's a couple of things that you want to consider on this one. The fact that, yes, is it season 2 versus season 1? Yeah, but this was kind of a thing that I got into with a few people on why the recent Spider-Man was worth more than what people were considering, because the Ben Reilly Spider-Man, it dropped and I watched it started at like 3,000 gems for the, like right when it hit the market, and it went all the way down to 1,600. And I kept telling people, I was like, this is worth more than people realize, because it had like 600 editions. So it was 600 editions. Yes, it's not Peter Parker, but it is an FA of Ben Riley, which, yes, less fandom, but still an FA during a con event. So it was FA, like it's technically still a CE. And then it's again Marvel drop at an event, and it has a lower edition count than even like a Dragon Girl. So that collectible was very much slept on, and it dropped all the way down to 1,600. One of my buddies actually grabbed 2 at that 1.6, and now if it's selling at 3.7, I mean, he sells those 2. He just made $5,000, right? 3,000, or not quite 5,000, but still pretty solid flip. So Dragon Girl is dropping. We don't know how many mints yet. We don't know the price. This is one that you do not want to miss the drop for, but especially since we're seeing another trend, right? Where anything gold in Veve seems to do really well, right? Like we saw that the Cthulhu's, like the Jade was, in my opinion, the coolest, but the gold went for more because it's gold. We saw the gold Lucky. We see the gold Dragon Girl. Like gold seems to hold, that rhymes. Gold holds value pretty well in Veve. So this just looks cool. I mean, it's going to shine. It's going to look great in our Veve showrooms too. So can't wait to see this drop coming tomorrow. And let's get to Anand's question on how long this Veve dip will last. So we can see that the prices are still solid on most of the larger drops, right? Like Riso's holding up, Pride's holding up, Hymns, Spider-Man's, all of them not super discounted, but everything else is discounting. And it's because we've gone into a number of drops and everyone needs gems, right? So we're seeing where there's just so many drops and less liquidity to just go ahead and jump into these. So basically people are trying to buy everything, and people are also trying to sell all at once, but people are trying to buy more new drops versus the old ones in complete sets. So with Dragon Girl, I mean, everyone's going to want this. So I think there will be a pretty substantial sell-off today in the Veve market, as well as tomorrow, maybe on to Sunday, probably, because everyone's going to want this. Everyone's going to want this, like, and I guarantee you, once you have this, the price is going to keep going up, right? Because I don't know how many mints they're going to be. I'm hoping it's going to be same, if not less than the other Dragon Girl. So hopefully like 888. But this is one to catch and make sure that you hold on to. Okay, so Anon, again, thanks for the super chat. You asked prediction of how long the Veve dip will last. So I think in the last Veve dip, for those who aren't in the know, was probably about a month and a half. Like it started in July and it dragged on basically until the beginning of September. And that was because, again, Marvel, and we were coming off a con. It was definitely like, that was the best time to load up. I bought quite a few collectibles that I didn't have. I didn't go for the big ones, which I should have. Like I kept looking at the Backstab Labbit, the OG one, which was at one point selling for like 680 gems. And I'm a big dumb idiot for not jumping in on that. But same thing, I ran the same thing where I needed gems and liquidity, and it was just a tough time back then. So yeah, this is what's happening kind of now, but not as extreme. But even looking at the dip now, the dip back in July and August was like here, and we're now on a dip in the collectibles, but they're not what they were here. So we're in a dip, so it just keeps climbing up. So we're in a dip from where it was, but this dip is going to eventually climb higher than where this was. At least that's what I believe is going to happen. So when you ask, when do I think this dip will end? I think it will end in the next week or two, because what's going to happen is we're going to get that Master Collector Program article out from Ecomi and Veve, and then the wheels are going to start turning, and people are going to understand, like, oh, like it's go time. Like we actually need to complete sets. We actually need to do this. We have more understanding around what points kind of work, like how you get more points depending on what rarity it is or completing sets. And then we'll also have hopefully a timeline of when this goes into play. So I think that's going to be a pretty big indicator of when the dip will kind of start climbing out, especially since what's happening with crypto, right? Like it's shooting up again. And so people are going to be able to have a little more liquidity if they're not 100% in OMI, right? So if they have Bitcoin, if they have Ethereum, if they have whatever alts, they can now take that profit, put it into fiat, and then put it into Veve, and now have a little bit more money to play around with, which is why I'm buying a few ultra rares from sets that I haven't completed right now. Is I'm doing just that. Is I'm selling a few alts that, yeah, I believe that they're going to go long term, but I also believe these collectibles are going to be running short and few eventually when Master Collector goes live. So I am choosing to get those now. Checking in with the chat before I go to the next screen. Shout out to Lori. Appreciate you for that super sticker chat. Mike, appreciate you, man. You're a legend as well. You do solid community engagement on Twitter and, of course, in Telegram. So love what you guys do. Master Barber, thank you so much. Question, how can we keep up with the influx of people buying? I mean, I don't know, man. like there's so many people jumping into it now. Like people understand, right? Like when the comics first dropped, I think I got eight, like you're able to just click, and like in multiple devices or whatever. And like I think I got 8 of the very first comic. I didn't get any secret rares. I've never gotten a secret rare, but I just kept clicking and like buying them. Like used to be able to get, like 8 to 10 of the first Marvel Mighty drop, and now it's just flooded because people understand that they've been sleeping on Veve forever and that we're making serious money. Like people are making hundreds of thousands, if not upwards of $1 million flipping these collectibles. And you could say like, okay, well, they're doing that in gems, but at the same time, I mean, you can take the money out, right? Like you can actually choose to do fiat deals on the side, which people do. Be careful if you choose to do that. Of course, there's going to be a less than that, but for me, it's kind of like, unless you need the money, just stack it up in here and then buy the collectibles that you're going after, flip, and you know it's coming. You know that the MTL is right around the corner any week or day now, whenever they do it. So if you're sitting on $300,000, or sorry, 300,000 gems, that's $300 USD that's just chilling there that eventually you'll be able to take out to fiat. So it just makes sense. Cryptoverse, appreciate you, everyone who's in here. So again, everything's looking pretty good in the market. I know that there's been a dip, and I think people are making the mistake of selling things cheap, especially with the bond posters. Like when I look at the undervalued collectibles, there are some that absolutely blow my mind, because you have to think about Master Collector Program. You have to think about completing sets. You have to think about how that's going to go into play with the Veveverse eventually. And when you see a 2 collectible set completion, those are the bond posters, like, and they're cheap, right? Like people are selling them for under what they dropped for or close to. And that seems like a big mistake in my mind, because people, when they are coming new into the app and they're going to figure out, oh, well, I can try and complete these comics, which are 5 and a lot of money, or I can try and complete this 4 set, which is a lot of the collectibles and a lot of money, or I can just buy all these bond posters, let's say 3 or 4 drops for 8 of them total, and I've completed 4 sets. Like, you shouldn't be selling those cheap. Okay, and congrats to everyone who congrats to everyone for just being excited about this and understanding just how big of a deal this was. The actual real life utility, the digital movie ticket stubs with the No Time to Die. I did a video on this. Like, I was bullish on Ecomi and Veve back in March. And what they've been able to do in 8 months to get here is absolutely insane. Like this is a huge deal. And like, it wasn't widely publicized, which that's the piece that kills me. Like, I don't know if that's on purpose. Like if Ecomi and Veve are telling Rogers and Cohen, like, don't tell Cointelegraph and don't release it to, whoever, like the large crypto articles, because maybe of more users coming in will just make this absolutely impossible to get drops. But this was massive news. This is real life utility. And you can see that this did not drop on the marketplace yet. This is a first. Like, we don't have a ticket in here. So I think they got together, realized that this is a big deal, formed an Illuminati posse and like had a conversation like, we don't list these. Or if you are going to list them, you're going to list it for this price. And if I was in that group, if one of you are in here, here's what I would do. And because we know there's some large whales in here. We know that there's people who hold a lot of Donnies. And if I had one of these tickets, I would work with my group where like if you know you wanted to put this into the marketplace, I would come to an agreement that we all, like, let's say 2 or 3 want to actually drop these. If you're holding it, good job. I think this is a really good forever hold, especially since it's such a piece of memorabilia for Veve and crypto, the first NFT digital movie stub to do this. But I would get together and say, all right, like you and me are going to list these. Let's go ahead and list it for $500,000, and we'll list it at the same price, regardless of our mint, unless it's 1 or 7. And then what we'll do is we'll just increase the price of it every single week by 10 grand. So that'll make it so there's putting pressure under whoever wants this that badly. All right, do you want to buy it for 500,000 or do you want to buy it for 510,000 or 520,000? So this is really cool to see. Love the fact that we're seeing more utility and real life utility. And this is potential to see more in the future, right? Like we have some pretty big brands that could do something like this, and we are the first guinea pig to do this, especially the fact that it's Cinemark. And I showed in my video where AMC spoke about doing something like this, but they didn't. So if AMC is looking to get into this, Veve is the perfect bridge because, again, it isn't just Ecomi and you know, it isn't just crypto. You can do this. You can go to this event. You can use Veve app without having to care about crypto. And there's a lot of power to that. And so they are the perfect guinea pig and perfect platform for doing this kind of thing with theaters. I think I saw a super chat too a minute ago. I want to make sure I acknowledge you guys. Aldous, dropping love. Thanks for your work building the Veve OMI community. Many thanks. Hey, many thanks to you, Aldous. I really appreciate the super chat, man, and the shout out. Another one from Steve Cowan. Do you think a ballot will work on drops? 1 minute clock to register, must have gems to pay random allocation after the 1 minute registration. So basically like a raffle, right? Like everyone goes in and then, right? Like, do you think a ballot will work on drops? 1 minute clock to register, must have gems to pay random allocation. I mean, it could, right? Like, I personally would kind of like that only because I'm not super quick on drops, but it will make your chances a lot harder because then you have a minute. Everyone's going to make a minute. So I think it gives more time. Like if you're forgetting, like, it's shoot, it's 8 o'clock or whatever your time is drop, like it gives more time for people to get in. And so I think it would be helpful for some who don't have a 5G phone, who have slow internet access, who have slow fingers, but at the same time, it would also make it more difficult for everyone across the board. So I think doing that for maybe some would be cool. Replacing the drop system completely with that, I wouldn't be a fan of that personally, but it's a cool idea. I mean, like throw it over to Reese and the team and see what they think. That would make some sense with like some select drops, like a bigger drop. I think that'd be pretty cool for the Dragon Girl personally. And shout out to Getsy for tagging me and Real Randy Chavez and Cavell, and shout out to Cavell and Randy, of course. But he said, great news for the Veve official. Digital collectibles will rule this Christmas. Toy makers race to get products on shelves amid supply clogs. Now, when you look at digital collectibles, when you look at trading cards and other things, they've shot up being in lockdown environment, which most of us still are in very strict kind of, you know, areas where we have to still do this. And that actually shot up digital collectibles and things like that, in collectibles in general, because of the supply chain issues, because everyone's at home. And everyone being at home, this just gives us a faster growth pattern to actually be in the right space. And digital collectibles is a great spot, right? So I thought this was actually a good ad to tag us in. So thank you for that. Another one I thought was really cool. So Rebel Duck, I don't know if you're in here, Rebel Duck. He's a homie. He makes great content too. If you don't follow him on YouTube or on Twitter, you're really missing out because he is a very analytical minded and awesome person who creates great stuff. I thought this was really cool. So he tagged us all and he says, assumption equals remove 1% for Veve, not available to the public. So this shows total editions dropped by Veve. 1,711,551 additions. First of all, name another NFT project that's done that. That's dropped 1 million NFTs or collectibles, or you can't. It doesn't exist besides Veve. They've come out with that much content, and most of it has been purchased up, right? I think all of it now, right? I don't think there's anything that you can buy new in the store. Maybe still a Batgirl. I'm not sure, but again, this is pretty cool to see that many drops, total additions, and then total in market. That's the pretty impressive pieces. And of course, this will be a changing number, but at the time he did this, out of 1,711,000 additions, there are only a little over 100,000 in the marketplace. So 5.9%, roughly 6% are in the marketplace. So when you think of how many people are flipping versus hodling their collectibles, that is a very small number. Like, we know that we can flip and hodl, or sorry, we know that we can flip to make money, but I think people are understanding, like, okay, I'm holding my collectibles for the Veveverse. I'm holding them for Master Collector. And so I would bet this number was much higher up until probably the past month, but this is a low number in the big scheme of things. So really cool to see this much hodling and just a really cool, thing again to see this community come together and really believe that we're going to make something great with the Veveverse and Master Collector program. So that is most of the content I wanted to go through today. Let's go ahead and look at the chat, see if there's any questions. And I appreciate you guys hopping on the stream. I haven't even finished my first beer. I'm nursing it right now. Talking too much. All right. What else? Who else got a secret rare today? Man, I know my time is coming. I know my time is coming where I'll get a secret rare one of these days, and I'll be really excited, and I'll post it. And everyone always says, like, would you sell it? For me personally, yeah, I would sell it, because the ability to complete like, if I wanted to, I wouldn't have if I had gotten one like right off the bat in the first 2 or 3, because then I would have just been going for the comics and completing those sets. But those are expensive. Those are really hard to do now. So if I got a secret personally, I would flip it and I would get more collectibles. But I'm also more of a collectible fan than comics. So yeah, it's kind of up to you on what your strategy is. Let's see. Wow. Good for you. Anon bought a secret rare for the market, fed up of missing out. That's awesome, man. I mean, good for you. I think if you bought the secret rare today, was it the Daredevil? Was Daredevil today? I think that was pretty smart because it was so cheap. I think they were going for around like 2K, which in the big scheme of things, once we actually get most of the comic fandom in here, I don't think they'll be at 2K for super long. Paulo asks, how many sets do you think we need for Master Collector? I mean, there's different tiers to Master Collector, right? So we don't know what that's going to look like. They need to get that article out, and then we'll have more clarity behind it. But I think it was Brock who was saying probably by the end of New York Comic Con will be somewhere around 50 total sets. So we're right now like 45, 46. And he was guessing. So we might be short of that. But with 45 sets, I mean, there's some that are just almost impossible to complete for those of us who came in late, unless you want to spend an arm and a leg. So I'm wondering if they'll do certain tiers, like entry level, like to get people engaged with it, maybe at like 5 sets, and then maybe in divisibles of 5 after that, or maybe it goes like 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on and so forth. But that's, again, speculation. We'll see once that collectible or that article comes out. Monica asks, how do you think the transition from gems to fiat to ETH and immutable will be? People would realize that the collectibles are undervalued or overvalued. So the transition from gems to fiat, originally a lot of people said that they think that'll create a pretty big sell-off in the market, which I think if it had happened back then, it probably could have. I don't think that's going to be as much of the case now. There could be a slight dip, but now there's so many of us who are in here who are just counting on dips, so that way we can, again, complete sets. And again, we're looking at this, right, where we see that there are a lot more hodlers than active sellers right now in the marketplace. So I think that'll be fine. I don't think it'll be a big dip, but the piece that I do think will be absolutely big will be the fact that we are going to immutable, because we'll then be able to put them into the immutable marketplace, which, if you haven't seen what the actual NFTs are doing in Immutable X, like with IMX Punks that just came out. What's the other one? Something Bros, the Moody Crows. There's a couple other ones. Actually, shout out to Reslone for the don't forget to give Taps a like and caw caw. So that's the caw caw is for the Moody Crows, but everything in the Immutable X marketplace is crushing. Like, because Alex Becker is pumping it and several others are, and he's doing so because it's going to be a big deal. It already is a big deal. When you look at the projects on Immutable X, they're all, like most of them are all absolute heavy contenders. And so being able to get into early NFTs on the Immutable X marketplace is going to be big. And like, of course, they'll hit OpenSea and they'll be very successful there. But IMX Marketplace is a sleeping giant in the works. And actually, let's go ahead and show again the ecosystem, because y'all don't get it. It's like when they announced Immutable X, I was stoked. Everyone's like, "Oh man, like not Matic or not, just Ethereum Direct or not Solana," and I was like jumping with excitement, because I understood Immutable X, because I've used Gods Unchained, and I understood how simple and cheap and fast it is to actually mint with it, and they're saving us just an absolute heartache and probably absolutely destroying the app if they went with just an ETH solution or something else. So it is so easy to use Immutable X, and it saves so much in gas that is absolutely fantastic that they made that move. And more are going this way. And the only big contenders I see coming to really compete with Immutable X would be Engine, which no one's talking about yet, because they are making a big jump end of the year with their not JumpNet, the other one. I can't think of it right now. My mind's going blank. But Efinity. Efinity is coming at the end of the year, and that's when they're going to be doing so much. And they've already built absolutely crazy, incredible crypto games. And so Engine will be a competitor of Immutable X, and so will, I think, Matic eventually. Matic's kind of getting there. I think Cardano's going to surprise a lot of people, but I don't know if they're going to have full compatibility with like ERC 1155 like these other solutions will. But when you look at the projects on Immutable X, look at these. I mean, Alluvium is absolutely crushing. Animoca Brands, anything they touch turns into gold. Guild of Guardians is one of the bigger project that has been really built up and been looked forward to, similar to how Alluvium has been for the past year. So, I mean, they're right next to each other on the gaming side. Gods Unchained was what really started it all, and tons of people made a killing, as well as it's just a really fun game. I haven't played in a while. Card game. So it isn't just like AAA games that are really crushing in the crypto space. Like, card games can be done very successfully, and Gods Unchained has proved that. I'm not familiar with War Riders, MCH, Crypto Assault. I think I've heard of Lucid, but these are kind of the biggest ones right here. And then when you jump over to DeFi, Superfarm is Elio Trade's project, which I actually did purchase a Superfarm NFT because they were kind of down for a little bit during, I think, a month ago. And I know Elio's going to crush it. He's very much doing things with Alex Becker, and I think JRNY Crypto is kind of on the sidelines a little bit, but they're kind of building a lot together. They feed off each other, and what they choose to pump tends to really pump. And I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong or anything like that, but Superfarm is going to be something great, because Elio Trades has been speaking about NFTs since 2018 is when I think he first started speaking about it. He was one of the first content creators to really go deep into what it is, and no one would listen to him back then, or really. But now he's been right. I mean, he got me into Matic early, and I swing trade that very successfully. and he is building something pretty incredible with Super Farm, and with his connections that he's building out fast, I think this will be big. We have, of course, OpenSea Marketplace, Kinguin, which I'm not familiar with this side. I'm familiar with Kinguin on buying electronics. I don't know if it's the same company they're getting there. Wilder World seems really cool what they're doing. Blanco's Block Party, I haven't downloaded yet. I'm actually doing that this weekend because I think Blanco's will do very well. Actually, I think Lori is the one who told us originally about Block Party. I know Orion Crypto Trader does Block Party with his kids, I believe, as well. So it's been very solid. Shout out to Cowalt or Seawalt for the super sticker. I appreciate you, man or woman. And then again, the collectible side, right? RTFKT, which is pronounced Artifact. I just covered them. They're doing a CloneX NFT drop soon. I think it's coming in the next week or two. If you just look in OpenSea, what RTFKT Artifact has actually done, they sell for minimum, like, I want to say the cheapest one you can get is 12 grand all the way up to 40 grand. So Artifact is absolutely crushing it. They're a big brand name. They're well known in the crypto space, and anything that they choose to do is going to be great. Momentous, I hear, is doing solid things as well. Ecomi, are you guys familiar with Ecomi? Yeah, I think Ecomi is just going to grow with Immutable X because they were one of the early projects on Immutable X before we even knew about it, right? So we actually saw Robbie Ferguson hop into an AMA before and speak about it, and they touched on it back a little bit ago, a couple months ago, and Immutable X scales, so Ecomi. And of course, my man, Tom Bilyeu. So Tom Bilyeu hopped on my channel. He is amazing. Absolutely. He's setting himself to be a big name in the NFT space. And I did a post about his project that's coming. So which he spoke about his renders project. So he's getting in the digital collectible space, and he's going to, I don't think he's going to be a full competitor to Veve, but he is doing something that is somewhat competitive. But I don't see him as a true competitor because the space is so nascent, still growing. I mean, there's so much to come that where did I post this? I think it might be on the tweet side. That it's really going to not be a big deal that he's in the space. It's just going to be kind of he grows, Veve grows. Veve grows, he grows. So it's just going to be more awareness. And you want Tom speaking about digital collectibles. You want him speaking about NFTs because he has the ear of actual true, not fully in crypto yet. And he's starting to evolve their mindset of, hey, crypto is not a scam. It isn't a way of getting rid of US dollar. It's something that you can kind of grow as a community. It's something that you can put money into as an investment. It's something that's going to be taking over several things that we do, smart contracts actually taking over real contracts, like not just movie tickets, but also like how you buy a car and little things like that. Here it is. But his renders platform is going to be geared specifically more towards, I think, a big emphasis on the APAC region, like anime and manga and things like that. So it'll be different from Veve, but similar space. But he also, the renders platform is going to be underneath something bigger that's happening. So I posted this on Twitter. If you didn't see this, go check this out. Go check out Tom's project with Impact Theory. So Impact Theory is one of the most successful podcasts out there. Again, they have over 2.2 million YouTubers, and they are building a founder's key. So the founder's key is basically your ticket to unlock several things that they do throughout 2 years, 3 years. I mean, this is one of the most substantial roadmaps I've ever seen. And they actually just released more info on it today on a call. I'm so excited to see what Tom builds. And if you're going to bet on a horse that has a freaking rocket, a rocket ship strapped to its back, which is Tom Bilyeu. I mean, the guy doesn't do anything half-ass. He does everything full-ass. So you know that he's building something incredible, and the founder's key will make sure that you're in line with it as it goes. So yeah, I think a lot's going to come with Immutable X. I think we're still early. Lori, thanks for the super chat. Facebook is under fire for the intentional stress their gamification of likes and views people posts get on Facebook and especially IG. But that's Veve's same plan for initial gamification. Thoughts? Huh. So that's an interesting thought. I mean, they're under fire because of the stress of what people choose to basically put their life into, right? Like they want this many likes and they want this much awareness. And you're asking if kind of Veve's plan would kind of be in the same area, or like the same kind of being under fire. I mean, if that were the case, then so would every social media, right? Like so would YouTube and Snapchat and all that. I don't think Veve would fall into the same bucket of getting in, I guess, under fire or trouble of gamifying likes and views, because one thing that's different from Facebook to Veve is I do think there's more of a encompassed community built around it, because Facebook is how you connect with people you know, and kind of you can build out communities in Facebook, but it's more like staying connected, whereas Veve is more about building a community. And so I just see a little bit of a difference there. I don't think it'll translate over to Veve, but we'll see. I mean, Vivi's going to get really big, and the crowd that it brings is going to be very big as well. So we are at an hour. So you know what? Is there any other questions? If not, what's the price at? Last stream it shot up on price. It'd be cool if it did again. No, it went down. Oh, we ruined it, guys. Now, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot coming. Let me show that thing again. Yeah, actually, we're pretty good on time. Boom. Let me take that super chat off. All right, so we're at an hour. You know, I really appreciate you guys hopping on the stream, going through some of the updates, going through some of the price action, kind of looking again at what we haven't seen. And the fact is many of those things are any other, you know, a week, 2 weeks, some of them, and then some are still on the horizon. But what's cool is even though we haven't been given a actual physical roadmap to look at with Ecomi and Veve, they constantly are updating us and keeping in constant communication with us every day, every week. And there is still just so much to come that it's really exciting. And the biggest catalysts are the Master Collector program, Immutable X because of the exchanges, and all that is happening this month. Most it better be. Like I don't like putting pressure on the team. At the same time, like we've been waiting quite some time, and I just see all that kind of happening this month. So yeah, I'm really excited to see all this happen. Thanks everyone for hopping on. Make sure you hit that like button again, so that way people can come in here if they weren't able to hop on the stream, and that way they can kind of see what we spoke about, see what, you know, how to stay in the know. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'll be putting out more content. So probably got a video out or two this weekend. And then, of course, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be at it still, just kind of keeping up to date on what's happening on drops and bringing my thoughts as things happen. So everyone have a great weekend. I really appreciate your time. And as always, keep on trading, keep on stacking Ecomi, and keep up those collectibles as well. Master Collector program is coming. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.